essentially, those who hold to an evolutionary worldview say that fear has a purpose, and the purpose is to keep us alive. And I remember just even in psychology class, this idea of the fight or flight acute stress response. I've heard that before I even wrote this book. And so this is like a legit term, fight or flight. So essentially the concept is, if there's something that is threatening you, fear allows you to either go into the battle, fight, or get your behind out there. Because the whole point is designed to keep you alive.
Yeah.
I think if I had just surface level of fear, I don't mess with sharks, bro. I don't do that. You see Jaws and you like, I'm not getting in the water.
I'm not going over there.
I'm not doing that.
Now I know they can go in your cage. That show ain't going over there.
I ain't going nowhere there. So what? Because you have that fear, it enables you to survive. I'm not going near water. Now I know it's an irrational fear because the likelihood of you getting eaten by a shark, but it's still, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
I'll go where I can stick my feet in.
Right.
And that's it.
You play it safe.
I play it safe. I'm not doing all that. So just from an evolutionary standpoint, fear is designed to keep us alive. So that if we come in contact with something that we do fear, usually it's some sort of nature animal or whatever the case is, how do we respond to it?
Well, let me read what you state. You said essentially the evolutionist advocates that fear is a result of some type of stimulus. The evolutionist argues that the fear is anchored in our defense systems that are central to evolution. Thus, fear is likely to reflect evolutionary influences. And what this means is that our environment and experiences typically dictate our fears. And then I'm going to skip just a second, but then you say the point of fear is a result of a stimulus that causes our defense system to respond in such a way. And this is called a fight or flight or acute stress response. And essentially, when you get down into here, you talk about fear appears to be designed to keep us alive because because of fear, we stay away from things that can cause us harm. We fight or we eliminate the threat, which is fight.
And this is just basic
observations of what you're reading, what you were studying, and the secular view of what fear is. Is this, now let me ask you this, is this a tactic for good?
From that perspective, yes, and in a sense, it's good in the sense, like I said, just looking at it just very surface level. If there's something that I fear, I either engage it or I run away from it. So just basic common sense. If you have a fear, you only got one or two choices in regards to it. So I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. However, that rationale has a couple problems. The first problem is that it teaches that evolution has a design and a purpose. And so I don't know if people catch that, because those who share an evolutionary worldview say we were not created by an intelligent designer.
That's right.
Yet the mechanism that brings us forth, evolution, essentially equips us with some sort of defense mechanism that enables us to survive. That sounds a little intelligent to me. So it seems as if we can ascribe intelligence that's impersonal. Because if evolution is true, we have fear, to help us survive. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And so that's probably,
I don't know if we look at it that way, but that's
I don't know if we look at it, but just for the sake of this, that's a good thing. But like I said, the problem with that is it ascribes some sort of intelligence to evolution, because it's not as if we see a threat and we just stand still. That wouldn't make any sense. We see a threat, we got two options: run or fight.
And where did that come from?
And where did that come from?
Right.
So from an evolutionary worldview, it came from over time we learned how to just naturally respond to certain things. That's the evolutionary worldview. I don't agree with that, but I can understand from where they're coming from. Now, the biggest problem with that is as I was doing my research for phobia, yeah, we fear things like animals and insects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people who have a fear of books or
Mm-hmm.
noise
Mm-hmm.
or chins, like just, and I don't want to say weird, but weird.
Right.
Just weird things that people have fears of. And I don't want to, minimize somebody out there got a serious fear and they,
Right,
saying a
Right.
counselor for it. I don't want to
Right.
make light of it. But those things, they're kind of irrational fears that are like someone has a fear of money. Now, I'm not making this stuff up.
Right.
These are real fears.
Right.
Now, it's probably not a great majority of people, but it's enough where it's classified as there's a segment in the population that has these fears that just, like someone probably has a fear of lights. Like there's fears for every single thing
Right.
that don't necessarily aid in your survival. So from an evolutionary worldview, fear is conditional, because why would someone have a fear of money?
Mm.
Knowing
it's good, what it can do.
Why would someone a fear of a certain kind of food or whatever? Like I said, just go Google phobias.
Yeah.
And just look at the list of and I list some phobias. Someone has a fear of purple. Like, no, it sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, but these are legitimate fears that people have. But how does that help you survive?
Right.
It doesn't. So in the evolutionary world,
Psychologically, because I'm reading this, I'm like, psychologically, how does this even form in a person's mind? Like, to be scared of purple. Where in the world?
I don't know. Maybe they've seen something that traumatized them and they associate purple with it. I'm not sure, but it's like purple's not going to do nothing to you. Like you said, it's just psychological.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is the flaw in the evolutionary design, because there are some phobias that we have that do not aid in our survival. In fact, these irrational fears, they kind of are a detriment to us surviving, as opposed to either, fighting or flighting. It's just like some of these fears don't make any sense whatsoever. And so I go in just making that point that from that evolutionary worldview, that is the flaw, because not all fears help us survive. I say, if the purpose of fear was to help us survive, it would make sense to fear things that harm us, like fire or cancer. However, fearing money or words can do nothing to help us survive.
Right.
Again, this sheds light on the glaring flaws of the evolutionary worldview. What all phobias have in common is not that they help us to survive, but that they prove we are not in control.